Are you tired of being broke on OSRS and begging people at the Grand Exchange for some spare change? Well, I have some money making methods just for you. The theme for this one is fishing, so I tested 7 of the best fishing money makers in the game to decide which one is the king of the sea at making you gold. On top of that, I look at how much experience you gain and how AFK these methods truly are. Before going into the fishing methods, I want to go over some helpful items that should be acquired if you are planning to fish for many hours. The first item is the Rada's Blessing, which is acquired by completing Corinne and Kebos diaries. There is a slight chance to catch 2 fish at once, which can be increased by completing the higher tiers. The next item is a set, which is the Angler's Outfit. This is acquired through the Fishing Trawler minigame or aerial fishing. All this does is boost experience depending on how many pieces you have. Another item is the Fish Barrel, acquired by defeating Temperos with a 1 in 400 drop chance from the reward pool. This item lets you store 28 raw fish inside, essentially doubling your inventory, which is amazing for the fishing methods that are far from a bank and great for extending AFK time. The last item is the Dragon Harpoon, which can be purchased. It has a special attack that will boost your fishing by 3 levels. It's nothing much, but will add up over time, especially if you have a lower fishing level. Now let's hop into the moneymakers. The first method is catching anglerfish, which are located on the shore north of Port Piscalarius docks. The easiest way to get there would be to travel to Port Sarum and charter a ship. Once there, you will run quite a distance north until you reach the fishing spots. The only requirement for this method is to have at least 82 fishing. The optimal setup is to bring a fishing rod and sandworms to catch the fish. For long-term fishing, it is recommended to equip a Rada's Blessing, the Angler's Outfit, a Dragon Harpoon, and the Fish Barrel. Let's look at the overall AFK-ness of this method. It takes roughly 6 minutes to fill up your inventory, but with the Fish Barrel, this is extended to 12 minutes. The bank is also close to the fishing spots, taking about 10 seconds to get there. The fishing spots can also be close together, though at times with some bad RNG, you might have to run the shore to find one. Now let's look at the results. After 1 hour of fishing anglerfish, you can expect to gain 19,000 fishing experience. This resulted in 157 anglerfish caught, coming out to be 220,000 GP. At lower fishing levels, you should expect to earn 110,000 GP per hour. The next method is catching sacred eels, which are located in Zolandra. The fastest way to get there would be with a teleport scroll, but if you want to save some gold, you can use fairy ring code BJS and cross the stepping stones, requiring 76 agility. The requirements for this method are as follows. You will need at least 87 fishing and 72 cooking. You must also have completed the Regicide quest on top of talking to the High Priestess to get started. The optimal setup is to bring a fishing rod with some fishing bait to catch the eels and a knife to cut them into Zora scales. For long-term fishing, it is recommended to bring a Rada's Blessing, the Angler's Outfit, and a Dragon Harpoon. Let's look at the overall AFK-ness of this method. If your fishing spot doesn't move, you can expect to AFK for about 3.5 minutes before your inventory is full. Once your inventory is full, using a knife on the eels and AFKing takes roughly 42 seconds. If you'd want to be more click intensive, you can manually click the knife and all the eels to speed up this process. Also, not having to bank is big in regards to AFK because you don't have to do all the clicks it takes to run to a bank, store, and run back. Now let's look at the results. After 1 hour of fishing eels, you can expect to gain 24,700 fishing experience and 30,000 cooking experience. This resulted in 230 eels being caught and then cut into Zora scales, coming out to be 440,000 GP. At lower fishing and cooking levels, you should realistically expect to earn about 300,000 GP per hour. The next method is catching dark crabs, which are located in the Wilderness Resource Area. The best way to get there is using the lever in Edgeville to then run north, slash the web, and run a bit east. The only requirement for this method is to have 85 fishing, though completion of the Wilderness Elite Diary is recommended for increased catch rate. The optimal setup is a lobster pot with dark fishing bait to catch the crabs. You will need the Wilderness Sword to slash the web from Edgeville, and around 20k is needed to note the crabs, though the amount depends on how long you want to stay. You can bring defensive items if you want, just make sure they are kept on death. Let's look at the overall AFK-ness of this method. It takes roughly 3.5 minutes to fill up an inventory, and Piles is right next to the pond, making the noting process pretty cake. The amazing thing is these spots never move, so you don't have to worry about being interrupted. One problem is having to keep an eye on your minimap for PKers to ensure you don't perish. Now let's look at the results. After 1 hour of catching dark crabs, you can expect to gain 43,000 fishing experience. This resulted in catching 331 crabs, coming out to be 460,000 GP after subtracting the noting fees. The next method is catching sharks, one of the OGs. They are located in a few places, but the best place to catch them is the Fishing Guild because of the invisible 7-level fishing boost. The easiest way to get there would be to use a skills necklace to teleport you just outside of the guild. The only requirement for this method is to have at least 76 fishing. The optimal setup is to bring a harpoon to catch the fish. There are 4 options to choose from, the best being the crystal harpoon. You must maintain charges with it though, which is why I am going with the dragon harpoon. For long-term fishing, it is recommended to equip a Rada's Blessing, the angler's outfit, and the fish barrel. Let's look at the overall AFK-ness of this method. It takes roughly 7 minutes to fill up your inventory, but with the fish barrel, this is extended to 14 minutes. Also, the bank is close, only taking a matter of seconds. Lastly, the fishing spots are close together, though at times the north dock can have no shark spots, making it a decent walk. After 1 hour of fishing sharks, you can expect to gain 20,000 fishing experience. This resulted in catching 183 sharks, coming out to be 130,000 GP. At lower fishing levels, players should expect to earn about 60,000 GP per hour. The next method is catching Infernal Eels, which are located within the inner city of Mor-Ul-Rek. The easiest way to get there is to use fairy ring code BLP. There are 3 different pools to fish from, but I would recommend this one because the others have a higher chance of having no spots available. The requirements for this method are as follows. You will need 80 fishing and 25 herblore. The herblore is required to make the special rod to fish in lava by combining blemish oil and a fishing rod. This rod requires you to complete the Priest in Peril quest or partially complete the Heroes quest to gain access. You must have also completed the fight caves to show your fire cape, gaining access to the city. The optimal setup is to bring an oily fishing rod and fishing bait to catch these fish, ice gloves to protect your hands, and a hammer to smash them to pieces. For long-term fishing, it is recommended to equip a Rada's Blessing, the angler's outfit, and a dragon harpoon. Let's look at the overall AFK-ness of this method. It takes roughly 2.5 minutes to catch a whole inventory of eels, and it takes around 38 seconds to smash a full inventory if you let the game do the work. If you manually click them, it will take a matter of seconds. A big plus is that the spots at this pool are all close together, though they seem to move pretty rapidly. Lastly, not having a bank really lets you turn your brain off. Now let's look at the results. After 1 hour of catching Infernal Eels, you can expect to gain 36,000 fishing experience, resulting in catching 373 eels. Smashing them gives you 5,400 tackle, 20 onyx tips, and 160 lava scale shards. After selling everything but tackle, I was able to earn 178,000 GP. Tackle can be exchanged for extra profit if enough is obtained, which is why the completion of Karamja Easy Diary is recommended for a better trade-in value. At lower levels, players should expect to earn roughly 120,000 GP per hour. The next method is catching monkfish, which are located at the fishing colony. The easiest way to get there would be to use fairy ring code AKQ and run north. The requirements for this method are as follows. You will need 62 fishing and the completion of the Swan Song quest to gain access to the colony. The optimal setup is to bring a small fishing net to catch the fish, and for long-term fishing, it is recommended to equip a Rada's Blessing, the angler's outfit, a dragon harpoon, and the fish barrel. Let's look at the overall AFK-ness of this method. It takes roughly 4.5 minutes to fill up your inventory, but with the fish barrel, this is extended to 9 minutes. The bank is also really close. The problem is that the fishing spots have a wide variety of locations, so sometimes you must run along the shore to find one. Now let's look at the results. After 1 hour of catching monkfish, you can expect to gain 41,000 fishing experience. This resulted in catching 333 monkfish, coming out to be 77,000 GP. At lower levels, players should expect about 48,000 GP per hour. The next method is catching minnows, which are located on the fishing platform. The easiest way to get there would be to travel to the fishing guild with the skills necklace and catch a ride from Kylie on the northmost dock. The requirements for this method are as follows. You must have 82 fishing and completed the fishing colony quest, on top of a full set of angler's outfit to show Kylie to gain access to the area. The optimal setup is a small fishing net and the angler's outfit. For long-term fishing, it is recommended to equip a Rada's Blessing and a dragon harpoon. Let's look at the AFK-ness of this method. The spots move one tile over in a clockwise motion every 15 seconds. On occasion, a flying fish will steal your minnows, causing you to move to a new spot. The one good thing about this method is that minnows stack, so you can catch them to your heart's desire without having to bank. Also, spots moving at a fixed rate can get you into a groove, requiring less focus. Now let's look at the results. After 1 hour of catching minnows, you can expect to gain 50,500 experience, resulting in 27,000 minnows caught. Trading them in with Kylie earned me 671 sharks, coming out to be 470,000 gold in an hour. Even at lower levels, players should expect to make 260,000 GP per hour. This is how I rank the methods, taking into consideration gold made, experience earned, and AFK potential. If I were not 99 fishing, I would consider ranking the better experience methods higher to progress an account even further. Click this video right here if you want to see money making methods that aren't just fishing.